All right, y'all, we are back in 2026, starting off the year with UFC 324, Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett. Starting off a year to what looks to be very exciting for the cards. We are jumping into the Paramount era. I know every fan out there is excited to see this. I am as well. Glad that we can be back off a long layoff. Took some time to take a break, be with the family, and now we're back to the grind. UFC. Here we go. Make sure you follow the Instagram, the Discord, TikTok, X, Juice Reels. And if you like that beat you just heard, go ahead and shoot me a DM, shoot me an email. We could talk about that later. But without further ado, let's get right into this. All right, jumping into the welterweight division, starting off the first fight of the year, Adam Fugitt versus Ty Miller. Adam Fugitt, 36 years old with a pro record of 10-5, 2-3 in the UFC. Has a really awkward stance where he just sticks his neck out like a Tyrannosaurus Rex. He has some slick striking, good high kicks I've noticed, pretty weak ground game, gets took down a lot. He's very hittable, gets hit a lot. Safe striking, I can say. He doesn't really get too active, take a lot of chances. Not super impressed with this guy. He has a pretty nasty front kick, pretty much beats the nobodies. Anyone that's decent will beat him. So definitely a good matchup for Ty Miller, who is making his UFC debut. 25 years old, 6-0 in the UFC. Clean 1-2. He has pretty good striking from what I've seen in his time before the UFC. Loose striker, seems to get real comfortable, and as the fight goes on, the more comfortable he gets, the more chance that a knockout can happen. He is going to be a hefty favorite, coming in at that minus 395. Fugitt will be at that plus 310 dog. That's what DraftKings has them as. That's what I'll be using for all of the odds on this breakdown. I'm going to have to go with Ty Miller by KO here. He's just the cleaner striker. Good enough transition defense to avoid any of those type of threats if the happens to go to a clinch or the ground. But he's just overall faster. Adam Fugitt could definitely pressure, get him on the fence. Drain him out, get it to where his striking isn't elite, but I think the chances of that are very slim. I'm gonna go Ty Miller by KO for the first fight of the year. All right, let's get on to the next one. All right, we got Ricky Tercios versus Cameron Smotherman. Ricky Tercios, 32 years old, pro record 12-5. He is also 2-3 in the UFC, but he is an exciting fighter. He is a scrapper, a lot of pressure, kind of just keeps coming, keeps swinging, and that's really what he got going on. Some decent clinch work. He'll throw the knees, good combinations when he is giving the pressure. But honestly, besides pressure, he's pretty average everywhere. He is exciting though. Will always bring the fight, so good thing for him. On the other hand, we got Cameron Smotherman, the baby-faced killer, 28 years old, pro record of 12-6. He is now 1-2 in the UFC. He has some explosive boxing. Looks like he has a lot of power. He has faced some decent competition as well as Ricky Tercios. Hasn't shown his arsenal yet. For me, it seems pretty one-dimensional. Boxing is really what I see from Cameron Smotherman. Decent ground defense. He seems really to shine the most in exchanges. That's where I see him shine. He's not really a huge head hunter. I would like to see more volume out of him to consider that. But overall, Ricky Tercios coming in at that plus 164 dog spot, and Cameron Smotherman coming at that minus 198. And I would like to see if these lines move around, if they give Smotherman a better look and raise that underdog price tag on Tercios, because I'm definitely leaning towards the Tercios side. I think this fight will go to decision, and I think he will be the busier fighter. I think volume's going to win the game. I think he has a little bit deeper arsenal when it comes to striking. And I think if he avoids those heavy exchanges, he can avoid getting tagged by Cameron Smotherman, and he can win this by decision. I don't really see Smotherman finishing him. I think he'll be a little hesitant going into this fight after the 2 losses. I could be wrong. He could go out there with a lot of urgency, but I think that will be a big factor in here. Ricky Tercios by decision. This is going to be one of my dog calls. One of the dog calls for the card right here. Not a lot of dogs. Not a lot of dogs I have, but Ricky Tercios, I think the slightly more UFC experience and the activity in the octagon is gonna pay off. Ricky Tercios by decision. Let's move on. Now I'm really excited for the big boys to come in. We got Josh, the incredible Hokit, taking on Denzel Freeman, Luke Fox. Josh Hokit, 28 years old, pro record of 7-0, UFC record of 1-0. He came in and made a statement on, I want to say Max Jimenez. Finished him first round. He's an athletic two-sport athlete. He wrestled and played football at Fresno State. High-level wrestler. Good, powerful boxing. Just an incredible athlete. And he is lighter for the heavier division, which could play an advantage. That speed will be a big factor in a lot of his fights coming forward. Really excited to see him and his ceiling in the UFC. I think he has a lot of potential. He's looking good in and outside the cage, giving some incredible post-fight interviews. He almost reminds me of a heavyweight Chael Sonnen. You know, just your American badass type feel, you know, heavyweight guys. So yeah, I'm turning into a fan of him. You know, I like what I see so far. On the other hand, we got Denzel Freeman, 34 years old, pro record 7-1. That one loss was before the UFC, and I believe he was down a weight class. He looked real skinny. I think he was fighting in the light heavyweight. Kind of just got out muscle. I don't think that was the weight class for him. Since he's been back, he's been looking really good. He's an athletic big as well. Not as athletic as Josh Hokit, I would say, but he's about right there. He is a Taekwondo red belt. Decent wrestling, decent defense as well. The one thing though that I think is making these odds be the way they are is that hesitant debut where he went in there and won the fight, but wasn't his normal self that we've seen before the UFC. Maybe he needed to get some jitters out, maybe feeling out the opponent. I don't know. But I don't want to overlook him here, that's for sure. He is really good. And right now they got Josh Hokit at the -230 favorite, Denzel Freeman at the +190 dog. I would probably like to see that line drop down a little bit more, especially for Hokit. If it can get down to the 180 mark, I'm looking at targeting that for sure. But overall, I'm gonna go with kind of a maybe a unpopular decision here. But I'm going to go Josh Hokit by decision. I think Denzel Freeman is good enough to avoid getting finished in all the aspects. He's going to have that weight. So as long as he can stay elusive, stay on the outside, avoid those wild exchanges that Josh Hokit will look to bring, I think that he can ride this out to a decision. But overall, Josh Hokit, I think, is going to get the better of the exchanges in the whole match. Slightly more explosive, and to what we've seen in both of their debuts, Josh Hokit has that higher sense of urgency. And that right there will be, for me, the number one factor in this fight, that urgency. Who wants it more is going to win this fight. They're both very skilled, high-level guys. It's just going to come down to the heart. And I think Josh Hokit has that. He has the personality. I'm really excited for this matchup. This is one that I think a lot of people, especially if you're a real fan, you're going to be excited for. Overall, though, Josh Hokit by decision. Let's get on to the next. All right, we got Michael the Menace Johnson taking on Alexander the Great Ape Hernandez. I think he just recently changed his name from the Great. Decided to be an ape. Yeah, we'll rock with it. All right. Michael Johnson, 39 years old, pro record 24-19, UFC record 16-15. He is a veteran in the game, still showing that he has that fire in him. He has a recent win over Daniel Zellhuber, where Zellhuber really looked hesitant in that fight. He just did not look like he was ready to pull the trigger, and Michael Johnson was. And he was just winning exchanges, and that's how he got it. But at his age, 39, to be able to go out there versus a young guy and do something like that still shows he has it in the UFC. He has really good in and out combos. He can, close the distance well, get off what he needs in the exchange, and then get out and avoid getting tagged with a late hit of the exchange. He has fast hands for his age, though, and he has a mean overhand left. He likes to set that up a lot. Get in there, 1-1, throw that heavy 2, look to shatter shatter some pieces in the brain there with the way he throws that thing. On the other hand, we got Alexander Hernandez, 33 years old, pro record 18-8, UFC record 10-7. I would say his career was a little shaky towards the beginning, and it seemed like he's been getting a little bit better, figuring some things out. I got some pretty solid wins as of lately, and I've been liking what I'm seeing from Alexander Hernandez. He has a pretty good amount of XP for his age, for only being 33. He has a good amount of fight experience in and outside the UFC. Great footwork and balance, what I've noticed from him. He can really throw his combinations, really kind of overthrow the strike, but keep the feet in a good position to evade, to set himself up for good head movement. And he's looking really good. He has really good clean combinations. He has really good wrestling. I don't know if he's going to look to employ that in this match. Maybe. Michael Johnson could have a slight speed advantage. Slight, maybe. We'll see though when fight day comes. But overall, he's still improving. I like that -170 favorite. Michael Johnson at that +124 dog. I really like those lines. I'm in agreement with those. Overall, though, I think Alex Hernandez can get this job done by KO. I think he can get in there. He has enough experience going up against this veteran, and I think he has the urgency as well to be able to finish him. Overall, I think Alexander Hernandez is just the more technical striker. He's young, active resume, stays active in there. They're about the same when it comes to activity, especially when you're looking at that significant like strikes landed per minute. Both around 4, almost 4.5. But overall, yeah, I'm gonna go Hernandez by KO. Think he gets the job done here. Let's move on. All right, we're dropping it down to the flyweight division. We got Alex Perez versus Charles Johnson. Alex Perez, 33 years old, pro record 25-10, UFC record 7-6. No, he just had a kind of a unfortunate loss versus Almabayev. He was it seemed like he was winning the fight and then just kind of got caught in a submission. It happens to the best of them. Overall, though, decent pressure from Perez, former title challenger, so he's been in there with some of the best guys in the flyweight division. When he does lose, it is to good names. One thing I've noticed in his fights, he is pretty hittable. Gets tagged a lot. He has some decent grappling. He has good boxing when pressuring. When he's in the driver's seat, when he's kind of controlling the center of the octagon, that's when he looks the best. Outside of that, looks pretty average. Not impressed. They got him at that +170 dog. On the other hand, Charles Johnson, 34 years old, pro record 18-7. He is 7-5 in the UFC, but he has some vicious combinations. He's very active in the cage. As you can see, almost 5 strikes landed per minute. Exciting striker. He has a really deep arsenal. He likes to throw the kind of the switch front kicks, the knees, jumping knees, elbows. He has a very deep arsenal, and I think that's going to be a big factor in this fight. He's also a decent grappler, but I don't see this fight going to the ground much. I think this is going to be a slugfest. They got him at that -205 favorite. This is another line I really like. I think it could drop a little bit down. Don't overlook Alex Perez. He is really good. Had, like I said, some unfortunate losses, but overall, I'm going to go Charles Johnson by decision. I don't see him finishing him. It definitely could happen, but I think Alex Perez has enough experience to take this fight to deep waters. Overall, Charles Johnson's the faster guy. He's going to have the slightly more volume, and I think he's just going to have more urgency in there. He's going to be looking to finish. And I know he's trying to make a run right now for the title. So I say the Charles Johnson with confidence, but the decision with low confidence. I'm on the fence. I feel like he can get a knockout just as well, especially with the run he's trying to make and the statements he's trying to make to get back to where he needs to be. So Charles Johnson by decision. It's going to be the final pick. Let's go. All right, we got Nikita Krylov taking on Modestas Bukauskas. Now, Krylov, 33 years old. He's just... I think he's about at the end of his time. He's only 33. Took a vicious KO to Dominic Reyes. He's good, great striker, but overall, I'm not gonna get too deep into this one. I got Bukauskas by knockout. I think he's gonna finish him. Bukauskas is just had a better run lately in the division. He's the overall better striker, faster, stronger. He's just the overall better fighter in all aspects, I think. This is going to be one of my official targets, Bukauskas. He might be thrown on a parlay. I'm really positive. I can say with confidence that he should pull this win off versus Nikita Krylov. He has some great combinations as well. This could play out to be a good fight. This could play out to be a good fight and go the distance, but I think Bukauskas is going to get him out in the first or second round. That's going to be the pick. Bukauskas by KO. Didn't spend a lot of time on that one, but let's move on. All right, we got Atiba Gutierre, the silent assassin, taking on Andy Polayev. Atiba Gutierre, 23 years old, pro record 9-1, UFC record 3-0. He has some brutal power and finishes displaying so far in the UFC. Good to see the UFC taking their time with him, not giving him a crazy jump, letting him, I call this a layup right here. This is a layup fight. Gutierre is a lot more technical, I think, than people think. They see him, the African, brawler type, just comes in, but I think he's a lot more composed and technical than people give him credit for. On the other hand, we got Andy Polayev, 28 years old, pro record 10-3. He is 1-1 in the UFC. He has some decent clinch work. Other than that, he's pretty average, nothing special. He got walked down by CLD, Christian Leroy Duncan. He was just backpedaling the whole time, trying to clinch. And to the looks of it, Gutierre has some vicious power that I don't think this guy's going to be able to withstand. And we're going Gutierre by knockout. He's more athletic. He has more power. He's just looking better. He has a higher ceiling. I think this is a good matchup for him. Some guy that's not too much older than him, doesn't have too much more experience, actually less experience UFC-wise. I think this is a good matchup for him to go showcase again. And then after this, now let's talk about giving him a guy with a number next to his name. Atiba Gutierre by KO. All right, let's get into this next one. Now we got some two high-level fighters right here. Umar Nurmagomedov versus Deiveson Figueiredo. Man, this is going to be a good one. Umar, 30 years old, pro record 19-1, UFC record 7-1. He is an elite top of the food chain wrestler. His only loss is coming to Merab Dvalishvili. Great fight, by the way, in that championship fight. They went all 5 rounds. The first 3 rounds were a lot more competitive. Those last rounds, last 2, Merab just showed the gas tank, showed the difference in his gas tank. Especially at that time, he's just kind of on top of the world. Umar Nurmagomedov just slowly started getting picked apart, took him down. Other than that, though, that's the weakest point you will ever see him in. Anyone else, he's not letting that happen. He's a very deep arsenal. He's a very underrated striker as well. He's the future of this division. He's the future. He's young. The guys who are there right now, Piotr Young, Merab, these guys are young. Everything has an end date. And right now, he's getting into his prime. So calling him the future. On the other hand, we got the veteran Deiveson Figueiredo coming in at 38 years old, pro record 25-5-1, UFC record 14-5. He's fought the best of the best. He's coming off an impressive win-ish versus Montel Jackson. I had an official play on that with him and Charles Oliveira. We cashed in pretty well on that, so it was good to see that. They had him at a crazy underdog price that I just couldn't pass up versus someone like Montel Jackson. Anyway, he's still fast and agile for the 38 years old. Excellent grappling. We all know, once he gets that back, it could be wrap. Once he gets the back, there ain't no going back. You know what I mean? Deiveson Figueiredo is just a legend in the sport. Unfortunately, though, I don't think he's better than Umar Nurmagomedov. I think his path to victory, Figueiredo, Figgy got to make this a dogfight and just go in there and try to take his head off. Chin him maybe a little bit and then jump to the back or just trying to finish him. I think that's his path to victory. But Umar Nurmagomedov by decision is going to be the official pick. Slightly higher IQ, I say, even with the age difference. Umar Nurmagomedov. Slightly better grappler too. He's elite. One of the Dagestanis. You gotta go with that side. More diverse striking arsenal as well. He's, like I said, Umar Nurmagomedov is very underrated striker, and he is also the heftiest favorite on this card, coming in at the minus 1350 favorite, which makes you want to stay away from, any money lines. I'll be targeting maybe a prop, but even the decision is probably not going to be the best value, so this might be a fight I'm staying away from betting wise. But they got Figgy at that plus 800. If you're a Figgy fan, it's your time to shine. This is your time to shine. Throw a straight bet on there. Pray for Figgy. It's your time to shine if you're a Figgy fan. But Umar Nurmagomedov by decision. It's the final pick. Let's move on. All right, we got Arnold Allen taking on Gene Silva. This is going to be a good one. Arnold Allen, 31 years old, pro record 20-3. He is 11-2 in the UFC. He is a slick striker, very elusive. One thing I noticed about him, his footwork. His footwork is really nice. He has that kind of Corey Sandhagen footwork almost. Manages range, is able to stay outside really good. He has a great resume when you look at his wins and people he's fought. And he has pretty respected grappling. They got him sitting at that plus 240 dog right now, taking on Gene Silva, who is the minus 298 favorite. 29 years old, pro record 16-3. He is 5-1 in the UFC. Only loss coming to Diego Lopez with that spinning back elbow, where I officially cashed in on that as well. With the prop, I went Diego Lopez by knockout, threw him in an 8-leg parlay, hit pretty big on that. Other than that, John Silva, he's had some vicious victories. He's just a sniper, absolute sniper. The one thing I see in him, in his fights, besides the Diego Lopez, when he got a little overzealous and tried to look for the finish, he's usually 9 times out of 10 very calm in the ring, in the octagon. Very calm. And that's what's scary. That calmness, that comfortable feeling that he has in that octagon is what makes him deadly. And that's going to be the difference here. John Silva by KO. He's going to stay cool, calm, and collected. He's going to get Allen to start engaging, and that's when he's going to strike. And he needs some redemption after that knockout. I know he's hungry. He's thirsty for a knockout right now. Overall, he's just a more accurate striker, more athletic guy. I see this, being a pretty easy call here. John Silva by knockout. Let's get on to the next one. All right, jumping into the women's flyweight division, we got Natalia Silva taking on Thug Rose Namajunas. Natalia Silva, 28 years old, 19-5 pro record. She is 7-0 in the UFC. She is an elite striker. She is one of the future prospects for the women's flyweight division. Very calm when she gets pressured, still can land off great strikes, good grappling defense, some very valid recent wins. She is replacing Alexa Grasso, and that was her recent win where she ended up beating her. She's coming in at a hefty favorite as well, minus 410. On the other hand, one of my favorite female UFC fighters, Thug Rose Namajunas, 33 years old, pro record 14-7, UFC record 12-6. She's fought the best of the best, former champ in the women's flyweight division. And I love her fighting style. She's a great fighter, great stand-up, good ground game overall. We'll see if she looks to employ that in this match. I could see her shooting a takedown, maybe a desperation one. They got her at that plus 320 dog, so if you're a fan like me with her, you might be targeting that. But overall, gotta be realistic. Gotta take the bias out of things, and that's why I'm going to Natalia Silva by decision. She's the overall speed advantage. She's younger. She has a lot of momentum coming into this fight. We'll see if she can crush that. I will be rooting for Rose Namajunas. I will be rooting. But as the pick, I gotta go Natalia Silva. She's just the younger prospect right now coming in, making her run, and she's looking good. And I think Thug Rose's only outlet to victory is getting this to the ground, not sitting there and trying to strike with her. But I could be underestimating her striking, but I think getting this to the ground is a smart move by her. That doesn't happen. Natalia Silva by decision. All right, let's move on. All right, we're getting back to the big boys. We got Where's Waldo Cortes-Acosta facing the Black Beast, Derek Lewis. This is going to be an exciting one right here. Hopefully someone goes to sleep on this one. We got Waldo Cortes-Acosta, the Salsa Boy, 34 years old, pro record 16-2, UFC record 9-2. He's a hot prospect right now. I think he fought like 6 times last year. Got eye poked by Gaehje. Came back in the same fight, knocked him out. Came back again versus Shamil Jazayev. Knocked him out. He is hot right now. He is hot right now. He is a prospect. He is one to watch. If he can pull this off versus Derek Lewis, give him a title shot, man. Give him a title shot. 2 KOs in a row. Might have 3. Overall, though, he's been fighting on the short notice fights, showing, and that fan base is growing. Overall, though, for a big guy, he's a very composed technical striker. A lot of boxing, but very composed technical striker. That's what I like from him. He's not really looking to get the finish like crazy, as obviously as of lately he's been doing that, but that sheer power's been what's getting it for him. You know, gives out a lot of volume. You know, if you look, you know, almost over 5.5 right there strikes per minute. But I really respect his patience in the octagon, especially being a heavyweight, trusting himself. That kind of shows confidence once you're in that division, being able to stay calm and composed and know that you'll get a win or a finish possibly, not really worried about getting finished. So I really like that. They got him at the -340 favorite. I don't know about the lines, but we'll get into Derek Lewis now, the Black Beast, 40 years old, a veteran, pro record 29-12. UFC record 20-10. He has also fought the best of the best, coming off a big win versus Talison Teixeira. Wasn't supposed to win that one. Caught him, had him grabbing on the fence for dear life, trying to stand up, and they just had to call it. He's also the UFC record holder for most knockouts. So throwing a little, bread on a prop like that, I don't think could ever hurt anybody. There's always that chance that he could get you with that one hit. Now, the difference between these guys is Waldo Cortes-Acosta, he's going to set it up. He's going to 1-2 you. He's going to get in and out. And then he's going to get comfortable and look to land. Derek Lewis is going to act like he's hurt or let you start teeing off, and then he's just going to swing. And if it lands clean, you're going to just be seeing the ceiling. And it's always a possibility when you're talking about the Black Beast. Overall, though, I'm going to go Waldo Cortes-Acosta. I'm going to go by knockout. I think he's going to get it done. He's going to chin him. It's going to stay composed. Land off the more volume. Derek Lewis is going to throw some desperate, wild clubs, and he's going to get caught. Waldo Cortes-Acosta by KO. All right. Getting in to the co-main event, replacing Kayla Harrison and Amanda Nunes. Kayla Harrison pulled out, so now this is the co-main event, which I am okay with. We got Sugar Show, Sean O'Malley, 31 years old, pro record 18-3, UFC record 10-3. One of the most elite strikers we have seen in the UFC. Not only does he have a deep arsenal, it is a flashy arsenal. He'll throw the spinning kicks, spinning fists, switch kicks, front kicks, teep kicks, all the extra stuff. He's a treat to watch. Truly has a high strike volume ratio he's putting out. He is coming off 2 losses to Merab, where he did lose the belt and then try to get it back and lost again. But stylistically, I think that's just a difficult matchup for anyone like him. That's a striker like that. The constant takedowns and pressure is just something that not a lot of people can handle unless you're like a Petr Yan and you're just an all-around guy like that. Sean O'Malley is definitely not known for his grappling. He has very elusive footwork. He can really escape and evade situations when it comes to striking. On the other hand, Song Yadong, the Kung Fu Kid, 28 years old, pro record 22-8-1. UFC record is 11-3. He has explosive strikes, explosive boxing. That pressure, he kind of stays right in front of you and looks to take heads off. And his strikes look pretty scary. And he is going to be a great person to watch in this division. He's not too much younger than Sean O'Malley. Sean O'Malley just has a little bit more hype, that slight more high level opponents that he's been facing. Song Yadong needs to make this a dogfight. He's willing to exchange and lay the pressure. Powerful leg kicks. That's that's going to be his path to victory here. Sean O'Malley coming in at that minus 198 favorite. Song Yadong at the plus 164. I'm going to trust in Sean O'Malley. I'm going to trust that, the stylistic matchup versus Merab is what did it. I'm going to trust that, he's saying still what he was doing with the weed and all the podcasting and all that stuff. I'm going to trust that he's sticking to the script here and he's hungry to get back. And I know he sees Petr Yan right now with that belt and he's looking to get back. He's seeing the opportunity and this is his chance. I've been high on the Sugar Show for a while, since the beginning, before the injury. He's just an exciting fighter that the fans love to see. When you look at the stats here too, significant strike accuracy, the significant strikes per minute, tie that in with the reach advantage. He overall is he's just the better guy. I'm gonna trust that he gets this one done. I don't see him knocking out Yadong, but I think he can get this done by decision. All right, let's move on. All right, we are now in the main event of the evening. Justin Gaethje versus Paddy the Baddy. We got the human highlight reel coming off of a good win versus Rafael Fiziev. He's 37 years old, pro record 26-5, UFC record 9-5. He's an elite striker, great combinations. He's fought the best of the best, only as of recently. And in that fight versus Fiziev, I had him losing. I had Justin Gaethje losing. I didn't think he was going to pull it off, and he looked great. He really looked great. He left no doubt that he won that fight, and he's still got it. He's still dangerous. Despite the knockout from Max Holloway and other fights, he still got it. And this is Paddy Pimblett's biggest test, for sure. He's going to have, a tough plate to finish right here. Paddy the Baddy, on the other hand, 31 years old, pro record 23-3. He is 7-0 in the UFC. He's a very exciting fighter in and outside the cage. Paddy, the guy with the English accent. I'm Schnauzer. Schnauzers don't get knocked out. Got Next Generation coming out. All these exciting fighters. Elite grappler, as you can see from his previous wins. He's good on striking, but I think he's going to want to get this fight to the ground. He seems to be improving and maturing. He seems to not be putting himself in the deep water like he was when he first got in and, really trusting that chin. I don't think you want to do that with someone like Justin Gaethje. Unless you're just a badass like Max Holloway and you put yourself on the line at the last second. I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's going to look to pressure and get him to the ground and get a submission. That's going to be my official prediction. Paddy Pimblett by decision. Paddy Pimblett's coming in at that minus 230 favorite. Justin Gaethje at that plus 190 dog. I like the lines. I like it. I think they could be a little closer, but I like it. I would still even target taking Paddy on a parlay or something like that at that minus 230. I don't think it's bad, but this is going to be a great fight. I see both of them tagging each other. I see Gaethje, he's going to get some respect. He will gain some respect in one of the rounds of this fight. This is a highly anticipated fight right now. Great fight, great card to start off the year. Once again, thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you like the beats, go ahead, shoot me a DM, shoot me an email. Go follow the socials. Take that little split second to go hit that subscribe button. Go hit the like button. Meet me in the comments. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you disagree with. Tell me what card you're excited for this year. Which one? I'm excited for the next card. Volkanovski versus Lopez. I'm very excited for that. So thanks for everyone for tuning in. Glad to be here in the new year, kicking off the Paramount era. Till next time, Rhythmbetz.